Well, the nightcap on that opening night NHL tripleheader was Utah-Chicago. First regular season game at the Delta Center. The owner, Ryan Smith, even spoke beforehand. You know Bettman's in the building, he had to be. And Salt Lake City did a good job showing out. They had the rally towels going, nice little viewing party outside. And remember this as the answer to a trivia question in 20 years. Kind of fitting that the first regular season goal for Utah HC was also their first big contract extension. Great snipe from Dylan Gunther from distance too. The guy can laser it. I wouldn't say it's the most storybook fitting pick for first goal in their history. And I know people are going to be saying this. When I say history, I mean strictly Utah because, again, this franchise goes back to Winnipeg and Arizona. The most fitting probably would have been the new captain, face of the franchise, or Spicy Tuna. But this one's definitely up there. This guy's going to be a star for this franchise. Then Keller gets the second one, and Barrett Hayton tips the third one. All of a sudden, especially with how bad the Hawks power play looked, it's 3-0 Utah halfway through the game, and it's like, all right, do we maybe have a mismatch on our hands here? A team that looks ready to take a step towards the playoffs versus a team that's still very much in a rebuild. But then we get this goal, and this seems to have caught people's attention here. Bedard slips past Sergachev before entering the zone, and I've seen more than a few people saying, why didn't Sergachev just plaster Bedard into another galaxy? And they talked about this in the intermission on the Sportsnet broadcast, and I agree. You look at this angle, and yeah, it very much looks like Sergachev makes a conscious decision to avoid a possible knee-on-knee or bad collision. And maybe the fact that it's Bedard plays a part in it, possibly, I guess. Personally, I don't think that has anything to do with it. I'm thinking more, here's a guy who just came back from a pretty significant leg injury that sidelined him for a lot of time. I don't know, it's pure conjecture, but it certainly looks like a guy who chose not to extend and make a dirty hit. But in doing so, Bedard gets by him, slips it to Teravainen, and he scores. Super trippy seeing him back in a Hawks uniform as a veteran this time. I remember seeing him as a kid with the Hawks. And Chicago really started to battle back. They hit a bunch of posts. They went full how to turn tables. New captain Foligno brought them within one, but after adding a couple late insurance markers, Utah wins their first game of the regular season at home, in front of their owner, Overlord Gary, and Lauri Markkanen. And speaking of the Jazz, how about CHGO Blackhawks capturing this from the public networks of the Delta Center during the game? Any NBA fans from the 90s, you can give your 2 cents on this. Also, they showed the, at this point, infamous vantage point where a whole net is like blocked off. There are plans to renovate it to make it a better hockey viewing experience. It is a basketball arena, has been for a long time, but has also hosted some hockey before the NHL team moved there. Also, Bedard tried at Michigan again. Didn't work out this time. Could you imagine in an inaugural game? That would have been wild. Torts would have been pulling his hair out. Definitely going to talk more about these two teams as the season rolls along. Utah is going to be a fun ride this season. I think they're going to have a good year. And for Chicago, it was rough at points in this game, but they definitely showed some flashes of being a fun team to watch. I don't think they're making the playoffs. I don't really know who does, but an interesting team to follow, and they battled tonight. If you're a fan of them, you can respect that. As usual, give me your thoughts in the comments. Wednesday's got, I think, an even better slate than Tuesday. I'm excited. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. Thank you so much for watching. You're awesome.